And alas, I remembered my list and they didn't have half of them. But the kiddos got some stuff too.
Hey y'all, welcome to the family that reads a lot. Did you feel the shift? Did you feel it? No, probably not. We're in Texas, it's still hot, but the shift to fall has started. And I'm feeling it, and I'm embracing it, and I'm ready. Part of that shift is coming in my reading list, my TBR, what I want to read. So I've realized that every year in the fall time of the year, I kind of shift to a different vibe of reading. During the summer, I think because we're camping and hiking and doing all of those things, I end up leaning into like adventure stories, hiking type things, even mystery stuff more in the summer. In the fall, I feel myself shift into witches, werewolves, all of the things, fantasy at its finest, and fully go that direction. I've not ever really paid attention, but I've realized that I do this every year. This is usually when I go back and read certain books that I've always liked. But this year, I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to bring in new books. I really just want to read new books. I've done a lot of video watching and list looking at and everything else to try and get recommendations for fall books. So if y'all have any recommendations, not necessarily fall books, not autumnal to that extent, but really like witches, werewolves, that kind of thing, I think that's where I'm headed. If you have any good autumnal, throw those in there too. Would love some good recommendations. So this is a library haul. I put in an order for me, as you saw in the opening. Went to one library, they didn't have half the things on my list, so ended up having to put in an order from a different library and pick up my list, but that's fine. It worked out. Now, the first book is Dead City 3, Dark Days. I got this. I've read the first two. I've thoroughly enjoyed this series. I'm actually already over halfway with this book because my son is cruising right behind me through the series, and he's like, how soon are you going to be done with the third book? Because I'm about to be ready for the third book. So now I just got this. I'm having to read through it as fast as I can, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So this is the whole series, it's 3 books. It's a trilogy about zombies living in New York and a girl and her friends. This is a middle grade. It's a girl and her friend her group of 3 friends, 4 including her. Why is this so hard to explain? Jeez. Numbers, I guess, are hard today. Anyway, they're like, I wouldn't consider them zombie police, but something to that extent. They have to deal with the zombies. They're called Omegas, and it's kind of a secret society. They go to a different school, all of this kind of stuff. So you kind of get all those vibes thrown in with it. And at any rate, thoroughly enjoying this series. Unless something really crazy happens in the last few pages, this is going to be right up there on top books that I've read this year. Next, I am so behind the trend on this one, y'all. It's almost embarrassing. This is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I know that everybody and their brother has read this book already. Everybody has talked about this book already. This is like years ago book, whatever. I have not read this book. Okay, I'm behind. I didn't know about it. At this point in my life, I was reading elementary books for my kids. So that's why. Don't judge, please. So this was actually written in 2012. And my son was born in 2012. I was a little busy. But here I am, 10 years late? No, 12 years late. Whatever. I'm going to read the series. I've heard good things about it and bad things about it. I've heard that it is trope style. It goes through all the things that a lot of other ones do. I'm not going to go into the explanation because, like I said, I know everybody and their brothers already read this book, but wish me luck because I'm now catching up with the trend and reading this book. The next one that I got is very much along the witch line. So this is The Witch Haven by Sasha Peyton Smith. This one I know just a little bit about from some of the videos I've watched. It's basically a woman is taken to like a sanitarium for some crime that they think she committed or something, but winds up, it's actually a school for witches, not a sanitarium. So I don't really know a ton about it. I'm going to try not to learn a ton about it. I just kind of want to go into this one blind. I don't do that a lot, but I've seen this recommended multiple places. So I'm hoping that it's a good book. Just I don't know, the all black cover, the vibes of it, everything else kind of the Halloween-y, spooky thing. So I'm gonna try it. The next one is another James Ponti. Oh, I guess I should have said Shadow and Bone is YA. Okay, this is actually YA. I thought this was adult, but it's YA. This is another James Ponti. This is City Spies. This is the second book, Golden Gate. I'm reading these because my daughter wanted to read these. She had seen me pick up the James Ponti Dead City series. I'm not ready for her to try that one yet. I think it may spook her out just a little bit, but this one's a little bit lighter. So I'm reading through at least a couple of these. I don't want to turn her loose and say, hey, yeah, that's a great book. And she gets halfway through the series and there's stuff that is not for her in here. She's still 8. She reads middle grade. She's fully capable of reading this book, but I want to read it for content. The first one I thoroughly enjoyed. I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as Dead City, but it's still a good book. He did the same kind of situation again, where you have these kids brought together in a group. In this case, they are spies for MI6 in Britain. The first one was set in Paris, and it had very much a vibe of like, so Spy Kids first, and then kind of like, oh man, I can't think of the movie that I used to like. It has Pierce Brosnan in it. Anyway, so it's kind of that kind of, it's a kids spy series. But I enjoyed the first one. I'm gonna read this one. I'll probably read at least one more, even if it doesn't like pull me in, just because I wanna make sure it's a good series for her. And then the last one is actually a book for my son. This is just another one of the Warriors, Dawn of the Clans, A Forest Divided, one of the 45,000 books in this series, but he thoroughly enjoys them. And so he's continuing with them. He grabs one whenever he can. So yeah, that's his book. I have a lot to read on my TBR and I'm not like a solid like, oh, I have to read every single book. If one of these goes back to the library and I didn't finish it, it's not the end of the world. I'm not one of those people that's like, okay, I have this set TBR and I'm gonna read everything in order and do everything by this list. I'm not. I read for enjoyment. Obviously, these are not educational things that I need to read for some class or something. I'm reading because I want to, so I'm gonna do what I want to. These are fun. These are things that I wanna read. Like I said, I'm looking for more recommendations kind of in this same vibe. Here, it's still very hot, but I'm feeling fall. I want it to be fall really, really bad. So maybe reading these books and enjoying that vibe through the books is the best I can do right now. So if you have anything along those lines, you know, fantasy, kind of witchy, kind of interesting, that kind of thing, leave them for me. Subscribe. I do book hauls. I do what we read, where I kind of synopsize books. I talk about homeschool, talk about life. We go shopping. We do all the things here. It's just kind of become one of those whatever channels, and I'm okay with that because this is it's all in there. It's all my life. Thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all go read a lot.